I bought the Samsung Galaxy S20 and the S20 Ultra for the purposes of review, and I told myself if I liked one of these phones enough, I would keep one of them indefinitely. And it turns out I love the S20 line because of the amazing high refresh rate displays and the camera setups, but I discovered that the sizes that I ordered, the 6.2-inch S20 and the 6.9-inch S20 Ultra, aren't quite my style. While the regular S20 has amazingly slim bezels and an overall comfortable small form factor, I find the 6.2-inch display to be a bit too narrow and cramped for my hand size and liking. And personally, typing for me isn't quite right due to this, and I gotta say, although this phone's height is very similar to my previous daily driver, iPhone 11 Pro Max, the lack of width with this display, I think, is what's throwing me off. But as we know, this handset gets 90% of the same treatment the Ultra does for about $400 less. It has an amazing camera setup, a killer display with an awesome refresh rate, as we know, 120 Hz. And while the Ultra 2 has slim bezels and has the same chassis width actually as my 11 Pro Max, making it more comfortable to type on and interact with, I've come to find that this 6.9-inch display is too damn huge for me. The display width and height especially are greater than what I'm accustomed to, and although it's great for media consumption, I feel like my hands can't really accommodate it, and this whole topic sounds like an innuendo, Jesus Christ. The S20 Ultra is also a chunky boy here. It's 8.8 millimeters thick compared to the S20, which is 7.9 millimeters thick, I believe. And the camera module is just obnoxious. And when you don't have a case on this phone, your finger's gonna kind of jam into it, which I'm not a huge fan of. But even with that said, of course, the camera with the Ultra is amazing. It packs a depth sensor and an insane 48 megapixel telephoto, which offers us the 100x space zoom. But to be honest, at this point, I don't know if I can see myself using this feature all the time, especially for $400 more than what the S20 costs. And we also have to remember that the S20 has a very capable camera setup as well, with a 64 megapixel main sensor and up to 30x zoom. So let's quickly recap. In my humble opinion, I think that the S20 is a bit too small, but is very nicely priced and is very capable, whereas the S20 Ultra is a bit oversized, has an amazing camera setup. I just don't know how practical it is in an everyday sense, and this phone is very expensive too. And this is where I think the S20 Plus comes in. It's sort of like the Goldilocks choice of these three phones. It's like the porridge that's just right, at least in my user case. And I actually drove over to Best Buy to test out the form factor in person before I made all of these assumptions and assertions. And just as I suspected, the 6.7-inch display feels just big enough to not feel cramped when you're typing, and small enough to not feel insanely oversized like the S20 Ultra. And it also packs the same camera features as the S20 and the S20 Ultra, minus space zoom, but it does have the depth sensor, and you get all this plus an additional 500 milliamp hours of battery capacity for just $200 more. So yeah, once I have to return my S20 and my S20 Ultra back to Samsung, I am very likely going to pick up an S20 Plus in the gray color or the Best Buy blue color. And that about wraps things up here. I hope this video was helpful. Don't overlook the S20 Plus because it might be the right device for you. But of course, I do recommend going to the store and looking at all three sizes because the S20 and the S20 Ultra might fit you just as well. I'd really appreciate it if you leave a like on this video, comment if you have any questions, suggestions, or opinions, and subscribe for more content like this. Expect my S20 and S20 Ultra reviews coming soon. I also have an S20 oriented comparison coming as well. And as always, I'm Noah, and I will catch you all in the next one.